Hi all, Kyber1 here, and today we are going to discuss a problem. Uh, Yesterday there was a really bad windstorm that started the night before, so I was unable due to a power issue in getting out videos. So today, episode 16 of the World Builder's Journal is going to be a special 25 question episode where I will respond to 25 questions. All right, let's begin. All right. Yep. Okay, so I'm still getting this figured out. That way you can look at my face. All right. Episode 16, question 76. You are dragged into a seance against your better judgment. Whose angry ghost are you hoping will not appear? What would they have to say to you? That's actually quite an interesting question. I like it. Question 77. As you explore a dark and dripping dungeon, you encounter ancient mysterious relics. What are they? So these last two are player focused, but the GM needs to be in those shoes, kind of. So they're both good questions. Okay, 78. What do your discoveries say about the people who created this dungeon or possibly inhabited it? Once again, that's a question reflecting back to the previous one. Question 79. If faced with the group's impending doom, what would your last words be to your party members? I think that's kind of circumstantial. I would ask each and every one of the players this in a kind of leading up to the final boss fight of the campaign, or like an end cap session where there's a really high probability they're not all going to make it. So that's a good question though. Question number 80. What is one piece of information, knowledge, or lore you would risk your life to acquire? Once again, this is something I would ask the players pretty early on. And any question that you would ask the players, you should always ask in private. Question 81. What burning question do you need answered? Similar to the last one. Question 82. Write notes about your last gaming session in the style of a fable. What is the moral of the story? That's actually an interesting one. So, especially if you're playing in a continuous world between different adventuring parties, you could use this as sort of a fable to tell the other players for the other sessions. For like, say you're doing a West Marches style, like have them tell these fables of the other parties' adventures and exploits and follies at the tavern. That would be really great. Question 83. You are trapped in an extra-dimensional cell, an infinite expanse of thick fog, where you do not age and do not need to eat, drink, or sleep. How do you pass your time instead? Say you put a player into this circumstance and say they're going on a road trip and they have to miss it. I would have the villain do this to their character And then I would ask them how they spent their time later. Like, you don't always want to use the same theme, but it's definitely a good way of keeping them out of the action narratively. Question 84. What would happen to your personality and morale if you were trapped for a month or a year? What would you be like when you emerged? So, that's a good question. It's really hard. Um, so if you have a friend going on deployment or whatever, I would avoid asking them something like this. I would put them in the thick fog for the year instead. Um, so I'm not sure about this question because like a lot of things could happen, and I'm not sure this is a good like deviance. Maybe if they're put in an accelerated time dimension, like if they're going on that road trip, for instance. All right. Question 85. Do you have a crush on another party member? Write a poem in their honor. Um, I might avoid that unless there's complete consent all around, or unless the character's a bard and it's like the worst poetry you've ever read in your life. Question 86. You are enjoying frivolities at the tavern between adventures. I've never heard that word before. Sorry. You are enjoying frivolities at the tavern between adventures when a bar fight breaks out. How do you react? I'm not sure that's a question. Like, don't you, isn't that just kind of a short scenario? Question 87. You suffer a curse that manifests every full moon and unleashes aspects of your personality you would otherwise hide. Describe what happens to you each full moon. Bit on the nose. Maybe you become a poetic bard that writes terrible poetry. Okay. Question 88. Back to 87 though, really quick. Does it have to be a full moon? Like, make it some other thing because full moon, everybody's like, oh yeah, werewolves. Okay, question 88. You stand at the edge of a pitch black abyss. Your companion's increasingly urgent yells for help echo up from the darkness, but it's impossible to tell how deep the pit is. Describe your next steps. That might be an interesting thing to do. Okay. 89. Given the choice of water, ale, fruit nectar, or the finest aged wine, which drink would you accept? What does your choice say about your character? It's a preference. Alright. Question 90. Who were you in your past lives? What echoes of knowledge do you hold onto from them that inform you how to navigate the world now? So, Jadzia Dax in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, very informative, sort of. Like, I think her character arc is really well done in Deep Space Nine. Look up the Trill if you get the chance. Question 91. Create a world where your characters are aboard a huge vessel heading for a new land. but something aboard the vessel goes wrong and your journey goes awry. What happens? Look up One Piece. There's plenty of that. Okay. 92. Write notes about your last gaming session from the perspective of your enemy scrying on you. What would they learn and how would what would they learn and how would this give them an advantage over you? So that's a very important question, and I think that really hits the nail on the head for the importance of the GM's notes. Question 93. Describe a meal shared with your party members while traveling. Explain what role each party member has in obtaining and preparing food or not. Yeah, I would definitely set the players up for this. Like, I would let them know, look, in order to survive out here, you can't rely on your rations or find a way to get rid of their stuff without completely messing them up or over. Um, let them know this is going to be very West March-esque sort of a deal because where they're going, their rations are not going to last that long. It's going to be important for them to follow along on like a stream or whatever to get to where they need to go. Also, do it from a guide character's perspective. Like, look, I've been a hunter for years around these parts. Definitely give them insight into the fact that they're not going to be able to stop in any town to gather any supplies. That's how I would recommend. And the hunter's not going to do everything alone because gold just isn't worth all that effort. Question 94. Since you left your home to adventure, your childhood nemesis has been plotting to take you down. Write the monologue they've been preparing for when they finally face you. What? Is this like Pokemon? Oh, man. Gary! Ash! Like, it might make sense, especially if you're from a bigger town. But if you're from like a small village, you might not want that character to have that arc. And the reason why I say that is because usually small villages need to work in tandem with one another in order to survive. But if you're from a bigger town or like some sort of academy or something, I would say that is the most appropriate sort of situation for that to occur in, due to the fact you're not relying on the hard work of each other and you have more room for the emotional gripes and complaints against one another. Question 95. You've been polymorphed into a goat, but not just any goat. Your goat form reflects your most prominent physical features. What does your goat form look like? Does it matter that it's a goat? And weren't we just polymorphed somewhere else? I'm not really sure about this question. Like, you can be polymorphed into like anything that reflects your most prominent features. So I'm not really sure that that's a great. It's very specific. I think mouse would have been cooler. Question 96. Write an elaborate lie that captures the essence of your character more than the truth. I would ask the rogues and the bards and the sorcerers, not the barbarian. Ooh, maybe a paladin. Like, give me something that really is untrue, but is telling of who your character is. Think the Joker from The Dark Knight. Like that. Oh, such a good movie. Question 97. Your path forward takes you through a steaming swamp, treacherous cliffs, or a seemingly clear valley. Which path do you choose and why? Maybe you could ask this question as kind of like a dream state. Question 98 is linked to question 97. Once you embark upon that chosen path, something shocking and unexpected happens. What is it? That's a fair question. Okay. Question 99. When was the last time your character critically failed an attack? Describe in detail what happened. I'm not entirely sure that that's important to world building. But it's good to explain kind of why a critical failure is a critical failure. But which character is it? I think you need to ask every single character to narrate their own critical failures. That's more important than the last time they did it. Question 100, the final one for this segment. In exchange for your 5 senses, a hag will grant you a wish. What do you wish for? In exchange for one of your 5 senses, a hag will grant you a wish. What do you wish for? And which sense do you give up? Oh, that's a pretty good question. Definitely write a novel about the good things you want to have happen in your life, and tell her that you wish this book was true about you. Okay, write an entire novel, and include the words "lived happily ever after" at the end of it. And include somewhere in there eternal youth. Yeah. Get everything and more that you wish for. So, if you're psychic, you could give up hearing, I guess, or sight. It depends on the sort of psychic powers you have. But definitely include the fact that you have some sort of sixth sense in the novel you write to make up for the sense that would be lost. All right. Kyron 1 out.